Hey guys, welcome to the Dynasty Dudes podcast. It's Bryce and Rob here, Saturday morning. It's kind of a slow Saturday morning, not like pretty much no news. I mean, there's the Rogers came out of his darkness retreat, so we probably will know probably something at some point in the relatively near future. And then we have Lamar and the Ravens continue to look bad. Um, Not much going on there, but yeah, Rob, anything you want to touch on before we get into the meat of our episode?
No, I mean, just, details on the Lamar Jackson stuff. It looks like there's $100 million gap between him and the Ravens as far as the expectations for guaranteed money in the contract, which is interesting. I don't know how that'll play out, but that's worth watching. So,
Yeah, yeah, I don't know how it's going to play out either. I will say, again, I nothing to do with Dynasty, but I tend to side with the Ravens on a lot of this stuff that's been going on with Lamar. Lamar Jackson, get an agent, man. I've said that every time we bring up Lamar Jackson. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if they end up trading him, if they hit him with that exclusive franchise tag. Yeah, sure should be interesting. Yeah. Also, screw the Browns for setting the market, right?
yeah, I mean,
uh,
I just can't believe that we're living in a world where Deshaun Watson hadn't played football in like over a year, and that's what he got paid.
yeah. You sort of see what they were doing, but like
Yeah.
they're one of the worst organizations in football, and they go and set the market and screw over every other team. So I don't know. We'll see. It might work out for them. I'm a Deshaun Watson believer, actually, but yeah, it still sucks. Anyway, guys, we're gonna get back into team
Hey,
audits.
let's see it.
That's uh, that's what we're gonna do during the slow times of the NFL season. Here we go. I got one. Okay.
You draw your own team?
I did
Oh.
not. No, it is your brother Zeke.
Oh. Zeke, this is where you turn the episode off so I don't hurt your feelings.
Let's just turn it on. Let's see what we
Yeah.
got.
No, turn it off. Like, this is Zeke. Love you. This is where you move on.
No, no, no. I don't think I'm going to be that hard on him. Uh,
No, the Jamal Williams trade really helps. I was gonna go in on his running back room, but he's made some moves to fix that.
yeah. I mean, okay. Let's see. Let's just turn. Where is Zeke? For reference, last episode we talked about Carson's team, and Carson had just traded for a 2024 first. This is the 2024 first he traded for. So you guys can be the judge of how good that 2024 first is.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start out where we always start out in the quarterback room, and I think we're gonna have some interesting conversations here because I think we may have a little bit of disagreement on where kind of we're at, but we have Justin.
I think we only agree historically, but
No, I
we can get
think I
into
think
it.
I'm higher on Pickett than you are.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I
okay,
was
okay,
more
I get what you're
referencing
saying.
our
I'm sorry, I
consistent
missed the
our
joke.
consistent back and forth.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
missed
you
the
good.
joke. So we got Fields, Pickett, and Brissett. One initial criticism I want to say before, like, there was an opportunity this last season for Zeke to trade Brissett, and he, and he just didn't.
And yelled. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe Watson decides to get himself a little massage, and Brissett relevance comes back to the table. Who knows?
Yeah, Brissett is a free agent after this year, and there are some.
Oh,
I think there's reason to believe that Brissett may get another BS job.
yeah. I have no idea, man. He's kind of a I don't know. Like, looks like he's had a couple good games, but he's never shown me anything that's like, oh man, that guy should have a starting job somewhere. He's just another guy, you know.
Yeah. Let's move on from Jacoby Brissett and
Please,
talk about the meat of it, which is Justin Fields and Kenny Pickett.
let's start with
Obviously,
Fields.
Justin Fields is an elite. When he plays, he is an elite fantasy asset. I shouldn't say dynasty asset. He's an elite fantasy
Yep,
asset.
yep. He could be unemployed in a year.
Yes, and that is the problem.
Like
That is the problem.
he is a great running back. Um,
Yes.
he cannot throw the ball to save his life. I mean, he is just a horrible passer. He's 23. He's young, so there's time to develop. I really don't believe that he is going to stay with the Bears. I think that they're shipping him. I know that this isn't super what we're talking about today, but I just want to say it again. I think Justin Fields is not. You have the 101 in a draft like this. You're drafting a quarterback. I think that Fields is gone.
Yeah, I tend to disagree that he's gone, but I agree with pretty much everything else that he just hasn't shown it in the
No,
passing work. And again, I know we're talking about fantasy, and if this was redraft, you could make the argument that Justin Fields is the. No, I wouldn't. You could make the argument that he's the first quarterback in redraft. Like
you
I
could.
wouldn't make that
You won't make
argument
the
necessarily,
playoffs,
but
but you could. uh,
yeah, no, I mean there was a stretch there where Justin Fields was like averaging 40 points a
yeah,
game. It was
that's true.
insane. Like he was on an insane stretch. So Justin Fields obviously incredible in that sense. I mean the other part of it that was good for Justin Fields is the team was getting boat raced, and so they were just playing prevent defense, and he was just able to run around the field, even make a few passes here and there. And so like if the team actually gets a little bit better, it actually might be bad for Justin Fields.
Uh,
Because now they actually have to like do stuff, and they can't. The other team is
yeah,
just
yeah.
playing prevent. You know.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, they
So
are probably losing David Montgomery in the offseason. I think I might be misremembering. I thought I saw a rumor of Saquon coming to the Bears. Um,
yeah,
okay,
he's the
okay,
odds on.
so I'm
They're the
not
odds
wrong
on
there.
favorite.
But I just don't picture, unless his passing game gets better, I don't picture a repeat of last year because defenses will just stuff him. I don't know. I could be wrong on Fields, but I mean,
Yeah,
he's really got he needs a Jalen Hurts level transformation, right, for next season, where the stories aren't that different um, as far as rushing work versus passing work. But yeah, but that being said, I mean, he
yeah.
wins you fantasy games right now, so
I do. I do think the Bears have one of the best cap situations in football. So it'll be really interesting watching the Bears see what they do and kind of see how they decide to approach this offseason and kind of what the trajectory of their team is. But yeah, I mean, right now, Justin Fields probably one of the most elite win now assets, because you're just so concerned about what's going to happen, beyond 2024,
yeah.
even beyond 2023, I should say.
If
And
Zeke didn't
so,
own him, you could get him for cheap, maybe.
yeah, I mean, it depends. Cheap is a relative term, but yes, no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. And Kenny Pickett.
Dude, I like Kenny Pickett. I know we tend to disagree on this, but I tend to be a Kenny Pickett fan.
So there are things I like about Kenny Pickett. I love his story. I love that he's the hometown guy. Watching those Steelers play, I just thought he didn't look like he had it. I didn't see anything great. I didn't see anything special. He went and took a wide receiver room that did okay for fantasy last year. I mean, what's his name? Their lead guy, Deontay Johnson, finished, I think, top 10 last year. Yeah, he finished at the PPR 8. And this year he's in like the 40s or 30. Like he just didn't do
Mm.
anything. He led that offense to mediocrity, and so I don't think that he is the guy there long term. Now, does that mean he doesn't get a shot this year? No, I think he gets a shot, but I think that he, I don't know, kind of falls into a Mitch Trubisky category where he's not the guy.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. I tend to have a little more optimism about Kenny Pickett. It's funny. He was on McAfee a month ago or something like that, just talking about it was towards the end of the season, and he was just kind of talking about how he's finally going to the off season. One thing we forget, and I think it's exasperated with quarterbacks, is rookie quarterbacks. They finish their college football season, and then they're pretty much right into combine season, and they go like it's just a crazy year for them to have to get up to speed, and then they have OTAs. It's like the draft and then OTAs and then everything. It's just a whirlwind for a year, and this is like their first time to like actually reset and get. So I tend to, especially with a guy like Pickett, I tend to give him some leeway in saying that I think he will be a serviceable quarterback or even a good quarterback. And I kind of think he's the quarterback of the future in Pittsburgh. Um, we'll see. This year is going to be a big telling year. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. Absolutely not. Kenny Pickett is absolutely still a risk, but I tend to be optimistic about him. Now, again, what does that mean for fantasy purposes? I think he's probably his. I think his realistic outlook is probably, if it goes well, it's like that QB 12 to 18 range.
Yeah, I don't think I disagree with that. I think that makes sense. What's cool is he is on the Steelers, and their head coach Mike Tomlin. He might be the most honest, play the guy that's the best at the position coach in the NFL. So we'll know real quick if they think that Pickett can win them games, because he's just so consistent with that.
Yeah. Yeah, 100% agree. I think, again, if I were to, it kind of, going back to Zeke's team as a whole, it kind of sucks having both of these guys. You probably want one of your top two quarterbacks to be a lot more stable than this.
I mean,
Like,
it helps that he has the 102, right? If he really wants, he
right.
can go and maybe reach down a spot, but get Bryce Young. And sure, he's got three, high upside, low ceiling guys all of a sudden, but I mean, that's not a bad
Yeah.
QB room.
No, I don't disagree. So, yeah, I'd say quarterback is good but risky.
I would say it's above the league
Uh,
average.
yeah, I would agree. I'd agree for sure. They're both young.
Yeah,
They both have a lot of upside. They both might be quarterbacks in the league for a long time.
yeah,
And Justin Fields might be the quarterback one night next year. So
yeah. No,
he
he
could
could
be.
be.
Like he
He
definitely could. Like he plays.
he could be in the same way that like,
Wait, I say could.
yeah. There's a lot of names he's got to.
The word could is
Yeah.
the word could is
Yeah,
off.
but it's
Like
just it's
I'm not
unfair
saying
optimism. Don't give that optimism to Justin Fields owners. They need to understand that his ceiling is not the one. I just don't see it.
I mean, I would say there are five guys I look at who could be the QB1 next year, and I would say Fields is among that
Yeah.
list. And again, he could be the QB1 and be a terrible real-life quarterback.
I
Like
That's
that.
fair. Fair enough. Let's move on. Let's do we want to go
Sure.
nice or brutal next? Because his wide receiver room, we mostly will have nice things to say, but his running back room, we can pick apart.
Mostly. Let's
Love
go
it.
into running backs just to kind of spread it out. Um, so he just traded for Jamal Williams, and you were kind of saying, oh, you would like that. I think he traded a mid-second, right? Like the 208. Yeah, I don't think it's a bad trade. I just don't think it moves the needle a ton. Yeah, like Jamal Williams had 17 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, the Lions are also moving on from DeAndre Swift. He's out of there.
Yep.
Um,
I
I think it was Rappaport reported that it looks like he's not their guy. I don't know. Rappaport's a big name to throw out there if I can't remember.
well,
So
whatever
I'll take that back. I saw I saw a report that the Lions are probably breaking up with Swift.
Well, that would obviously
Um,
be good news for Jamal Williams. Let me see if there's anything
yeah,
under Detroit. Let me take a look. But you could, if you want to go into the running back room, or you can talk about Jamal Williams real
yeah.
quick.
Well, I mean, Jamal Williams, he had 17 touchdowns, which is incredible. But also his yards per carry weren't bad. He averaged over 4. He broke 1,000 rushing. The Lions are a hot offense, which is good. They put up a lot of points. Their defense really sucked last year, which is even better because their offense has to keep putting up points. Um, but the rest of his RB room gets a little bit shaky. Are we waiting on a Jamal Williams thing, or
I was looking at it. So I did this is just what Sleeper had in terms of their news. Um, Jamal Williams or DeAndre Swift, his rookie contract is up in 2023, and I think there was some reporting that that was going to be it. But I don't know that they're going to ship him out of town. I think they're just going to play out his rookie contract. That's what it said
yeah?
from 2 seconds of reading. Um, yeah,
But
the Jamal Williams thing is just. I
if
had Jamal Williams for a while.
yeah, but if Swift leaves and you're in a win now situation, R- Williams is a good guy to run it with. I think he's cheap, he's productive. If he's not splitting backfield work, I mean, he scores a lot of points.
Jamal Williams is definitely a startable guy, but like currently he's the running back one in Zeke's room, which I think is
It's not great.
yeah.
Um,
So because now you go down the list, you got Rashad White and it, Leonard Fournette seems like a cut candidate. It sounds like they are going to cut Leonard Fournette,
yeah.
which is that's good for Rashad White obviously, but they also might address the running back room in different ways. And who knows what's going to happen down there? Maybe Rashad White's a good back. He might be. He's probably Zeke's second best running back, and he does have that
Well,
PPR
I
upside.
would say
But
you're moving on. You're
I
moving over Damian Harris pretty quick. He was
sorry, I'm just going down
yeah.
the
I
list.
think Damian Harris is his clear cut too. He had a really bad year this year due to injury, and so there's potential that we see a major bounce back. And you good there, Chief?
I'm looking up his
Harris?
contract. Yeah, because I thought he was a free agent,
I
but I
sent
could
you that free
be
agent
mistaken.
list. It should be on there.
That's right.
But yeah,
That's right.
so I think Damian Harris has potential to bounce back in a big way, that's good upside, but that's not a guy you want to lean on to start.
I don't disagree. I'm just telling you what, dude. Like I look at all these running backs, and if you told me that every running back on his team, this is Jamal Williams, Rashad White, uh, Raheem Mostert, Leonard Fournette, Rashad Penny, Damian Harris, Kenneth Gainwell, Michael Carter, Zabir White. If you told me that in 2023 zero of those guys are starters, I would say that's probably accurate.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think Jamal Williams clearly is going to start in Detroit. I think, other than that,
Unless they draft Bijan,
why would they? Why would they spend the cap space
they
there?
can.
But why would they direct their focus there when their defense is trash?
I mean, they're gonna have a pick at 20.
Yeah.
So they have a pick at what 7, where
So they take an edge rusher in a
they.
corner.
I mean, like what I'm saying. Jamal Williams last year, he was the beneficiary of DeAndre Swift was hurt a lot, and he just got the 1 yard touchdown carries, which again has value. And I
And he had
love Jamal
he had
Williams. I love the
a
Naruto
thousand
stuff.
rushing yards, averaged 4 yards a carry. I mean, that those are good running back numbers. Those are starting running back numbers.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, no, okay. I mean, Jamal Williams get back.
Well, here's the deal,
Um,
right? You need 32
28.
starting running backs in the NFL, right? There's 32 teams, and
Theoretically.
so I just looking at the running back landscape, I don't see 32 guys that are better than Jamal Williams. At some point, there has to
That's
be
fair. Well,
you don't have to be the best guy, but you have to be a guy that's cheap enough to do the job and your team likes you. I don't know. It all makes sense to me.
Yeah, let me look. Give me 1 second.
Are you Googling 32 running backs better than Jamal
Yeah.
Williams?
No. I'm just looking again. Jamal Williams. So he, with 17 touchdowns this year and all your, 1,000 rushing yards. PPR, he finished as the running back 13, which again, it's a good finish.
We're
Here's how I'll finish it. Zeke trading for Jamal Williams takes his team from F on the running backs to a D.
Yeah. This isn't about Zeke at this point. It's about Jamal Williams and PPR. And I'm looking up I just think I fundamentally disagree with where you're going here. So Jamal Williams finished at 13, right? Between him and
Yeah.
like Aaron Jones, a guy that's not worth a second, like you have to give up a first at minimum if you want Aaron Jones. 20-point difference on the season. Okay. Ramondre Stevenson, another guy that everybody's in love with, 24 points. Nick Chubb, you don't get a big spread until you're at the RB6. And six is where that jump is.
No, I get that. The values. I
Yeah.
get where you're coming from with the value.
If you don't,
and I do understand that, and I think Jamal Williams.
so
is
here's what I'm
interesting
saying. If
flyer,
you don't have
but
like a top 5 or 6 running back, those guys that are scoring 350 points in a season, don't pay up for a mid tier. Don't pay up for the Nick Chubbs, the whatever, or Nick Chubbs in that upper echelon. But the Tony Pollard, Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook, because they're on name alone, you're trading at least a first, and you're getting 10 more points a game, 10 more points a season, 30 more points a season. That is not game changing, and you are just wasting value. The math does not add up.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of depends. Again, the nice thing with some of the the nice thing was like, let's take Pollard for example. Any PPR back that gets a lot of his points from catching the ball out of the backfield is going to be, that's a very safe way to get points. And Jamal Williams had 17 times 6 points this year.
I get it. I get it. He set the touchdown record, but go offer Sam Wyatt a trade for Tony Pollard and see how many firsts he's going to ask for.
I'm not barking up that tree. So I think we may be talking.
But that's what I'm saying.
I think we may be talking past each other a little bit. Because I think we're more on the same page than we're letting on. But
his running back room is trash. But I think that the Jamal Williams acquisition is a incredible football move.
Yeah.
Like if I had thought of making a move for Williams, or I had a second round pick, I would have.
Yeah. No, I don't hate it. So again, as the guy who drafted Jamal Williams and had him for a number of weeks and kept saying, man, he just keeps scoring freaking touchdowns, man. I gotta get rid of this guy. But anyway, we can move on to let's go to his tight end room real quick so we can, again, kind of finish on a high note. Tight ends.
He has a lot of them.
Yeah, you got Dalton Schultz. You got C.J. Uzama. Is that how you pronounce it? I think. Hunter Henry and Evan Ingram. I guess there has been some news. I've been following Evan Ingram a little bit. It sounds like they want to get something done in Jacksonville.
Is he a free agent?
He is a free agent.
So is Dalton Schultz. He's got 2 of them.
Yeah.
If Schultz stays in Dallas, I really like Schultz, not to move past Ingram, just kind of doing they're both free agents. But if he leaves, I think Dalton Schultz could easily finish at 20. He's not special. He just is a product of Dak dump-offs. Evan Ingram, I mean, you're the Jacksonville guy. I think you can better speak to his value or play this year.
Yeah, I think he's kind of known as a guy that's not the greatest. He doesn't have the greatest hands in the world, but he's really a good athlete and actually a really good route runner. And clearly he has the trust of Trevor Lawrence. He was kind of towards the end of the season during Trevor's breakout. He really was like kind of Trevor's favorite target. for a lot of the season. And with the tight end landscape, with things being so all over the place and there being such a sharp decline just so early, Evan Ingram's definitely the fact that he has two guys who are in that top 10 range. Definitely a good thing here. I have to click and see. So yeah, Evan Ingram finishes as the PPR tight end 5.
Yeah.
He's an interesting big-bodied tight end. He's a good guy to have. I'd say he's definitely Zeke's best tight end, assuming he stays in Jacksonville.
You like him over Schultz? Schultz is like 25.
I think they're
Schultz is 26.
They're close.
Yeah, I don't know. I like
They're
Schultz.
close.
I think Schultz I haven't watched a lot of Jags games because I don't like them. But I think Schultz looked great on the field as far as like not dropping passes. He didn't look special in route running or blocking, but his efficiency on the targets he was given was there. And then with his youth versus Ingram being 28, I think I lean Schultz.
Yeah, I would say they're in the same tier. Like they're probably second tier tight ends, maybe third depending on how your
Say
tiers
third
work.
because your first tier is just Travis Kelce.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Some people would say that.
Yeah.
That's just so. Yeah, you'd go. Let's say you put Kelsey in the tier of himself. Then you have Andrews, Pitts, Hawk.
I like that you included Hawk in there. I don't know if I would, but I like that you did.
I think I would at this point, especially
With him
the
being
trade
on the
with
Vikings, yeah.
Vikings. Yeah. So I throw Hawk and then Andrews, Pitts, Hawk, and is there someone else who goes in that tier?
I'm thinking Waller.
Oh, and Waller and Darren Waller. Yeah, even though he had a obviously terrible year last year. But
Depending on how his season
still
goes, a guy I would
personally
watch
put
to jump into that tier as well, if he can stay healthy, David Njoku. But back to Zeke's team before we get too distracted here.
Yeah, and so the next tier, maybe talk about Goddard, but the next tier is like Schultz, Ingram. I would even say Goddard. Maybe some people would put Hawk in there, but it kind of depends. But anyway, so not bad for Zeke to have two of those guys.
That's
and frankly could be a really good trade chip. One of them if you decide you like.
Yeah, well,
decide you like one of them.
And what I will say about a tight end room like that, it's not going to win you games, but it's not going to lose you games, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like if you're out there starting Mo Alley Cox, he can lose you games. He might get negative 2 points because he fumbled the ball.
Right.
Yeah.
Hunter Henry's interesting. He's not a terrible streamer option if you're in a pinch. Same with CJ Uzama. So you got a couple of good streaming tight ends.
Yeah. I mean, CJ
Uzama's
Uzama's kind of stuck behind Conklin, right?
I think he actually had Uzama actually has a higher snap percentage, but Conklin kind of gets some more big plays.
Well,
But
Uzama's
whatever the
probably
case
just
is,
a blocking guy then.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure. Uzama, he's had some decent years. But anyway, it's not bad to have streaming tight ends on your roster, especially when you have a deep roster. You need to have some of those guys.
Well, and if one of them hits, if he opens the season for, 4 games of 80 yards each and a touchdown, go ship them. Go find somebody who's desperate and move on.
Well, let's get into the wide receivers because we're kind of moving. I want to get 2 of these done today, so let's go into the wide receivers. And obviously, there's a lot of good stuff, and obviously it starts with CeeDee Lamb.
Oh my gosh!
I think a lot of people.
Does it start with CeeDee Lamb or does it start with Stephon Diggs? I mean,
I was just saying. I think
or
in terms of
Dynasty,
Dynasty, it starts with CeeDee Lamb for sure.
Yeah, it's fair.
I tend to, and again, a lot of people push back. I put CeeDee Lamb just behind Jefferson and Chase.
Do you think that's too high or too low?
No, I put him just a lot of people put him a tier lower. I think he's right there.
I think he looks incredible. I think you know this. I've always been a big CeeDee Lamb guy. I think this is the last year you can trade for him. I think next year when he goes and drops another top 5 finish, he's going to be just, unbearably expensive. But he's 23 and he's already got 3 seasons under his belt. I mean, Like, holy
Dude's a
smokes.
dog.
Yeah. And he's not a big guy, but he's tall, so you can go up and grab the ball. He's shifty, he's fast. I mean, he passes every part of the eye test. He looks great on that field. And he's tied to Dak.
This,
Whether or not Dak is like a great QB, he's a competent enough QB that you know that Lamb will get the ball.
yeah, he's an elite dynasty asset.
Yeah.
He is a potentially top 5 dynasty asset, and so that's um, yeah, nothing more to say about that. He ended up, and that was the thing. He traded for him recently, and he traded away his 2024 first, which I think great.
Yeah. I mean, he gave up 2 firsts, a second, and Daniel Jones,
Right.
which is a lot of. That's a lot. But
Yeah, I really like CeeDee Lamb. I think he's going to be a cornerstone of Zeke's team for years to come.
yeah,
And good on him for
he
doing
might want to
So I
move
guess
Schultz though, so he's not splitting the.
Right, that's true. That's true. I didn't think about that. So yeah, Schultz would probably
Yeah.
be if Ingram re-signs with Jacksonville. I think the next move is to try to move
Yeah,
Schultz.
as I made the mistake last year, I wasn't even thinking about it. And in a different dynasty league in the offseason, I needed a running back, so I traded like a late pick for Ezekiel Elliott. I really liked Lamb, so I traded a first-round pick and Drake London for CeeDee Lamb. And I already had Dalton Schultz on my roster. And let me tell you, there were some really painful weeks starting 3 Cowboys.
That is a disaster.
Yeah,
though.
so
That is a
there were weeks where all
disaster.
3 of them got 20 points. No, I
Did
don't
you
have
have
Dak.
Dak?
No, hell no. I am not drafting
Yikes.
Dak for anything. Like, I don't want that guy.
That's fair. It's just if you're going to have multiple pass
Yeah.
catchers, might as well have the quarterback.
Anyway,
Anyway, let's Stephon Diggs, obviously elite. Yeah.
elite for
So
1
this
to
is
3
this
more
is actually
years.
an interesting
Run it.
discussion because Zeke's roster, um, similarly to Carson's or not, Carson's wide roster. This is kind of where the discussion comes in: is it time to do a retool in 2023? Because his team's got a lot of young pieces. We talked about the quarterbacks, talked about Lamb, got Pittman, Amon-Ra. We're getting into, but like there's a lot of pieces, and Diggs is kind of the last like win now piece that he has. Is it time to trade Zeke? You know, we're about to get into the picks too. He's got the 102. I don't know.
I don't think so. If I looking at his roster, I like his roster. He needs a quarterback. He needs at least one. I would say one more running back, but I also historically just don't believe in running backs for PPR. Like, get yourself 2 guys that finish in the top 20, call it a day. With his team, he's got guys like Michael Carter sitting on his bench, CJ Uzama, or not Michael Carter, Elijah Moore, sorry. You know, just he's got some pieces, and then the pick power and Treylon Burks. Oh my goodness, he has a lot of wide
That's what I'm
receivers.
saying.
But I would ship if I were him. I'm drafting a QB or a running back, and then I'm shifting 2 of those wide receiver assets. You know, maybe include Amon-Ra in there, but I'm shipping them for a running back that I want that is in that 24 or younger range that someone's just, you know, trying to move on from. I think what I'm saying is if he does those things, he has a winning team, right?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I just look at Diggs, and it's kind of he's just at that age where it's time to make a decision, right? He's 29.
Yeah.
This is one more year, and it might be done with relevance. Now he can wait until the season and kind of see where his roster's at, and you know Diggs having a great year. He can trade midseason
Yeah.
if things aren't going great, but. Yeah, it's just Diggs would be for me if I'm looking at this roster. For me, a guy who I'm keeping an eye on, keeping a finger on the pulse, and fielding offers if I don't think I'm going to win. Now, one thing
See, here's what
real quick point. Sorry, Zeke doesn't have his 2024 first, and that's a problem for selling, obviously.
Yeah. Well, here's what I see. I see this wide receiver room, what they've done, their finishes in the past. I see the potential to average those four guys 100 points a game. That is 100 points from four of his starting slots. That is brutal, right? That is a lot of points. So go
Are you
trade.
including Pittman in there?
No, I am including Traylon Burks.
Oh, really?
Because,
Okay.
yeah, sorry, I guess I didn't specify that. I don't like Pittman. I don't like the Colts. But Traylon Burks should be huge, right? I mean, well, even 80. Let's say those four slots are scoring him 80 points a week. That is a lot of points. You don't need your running backs to be dropping record setting seasons. You just need them to get you 10, and you're winning.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. His roster is definitely one to watch, and because of this elite wide receiver room, I'm actually higher on Pittman than you are.
Yeah,
But I
most
agree
people
with
are.
you. And yeah, so you got Amon Ra, who I think we've talked about a number of times. Even you look down to some of his backup guys. I'm a believer in Chase Claypool a little bit. Elijah Moore had a really good rookie season before, Zach Wilson hated him. So maybe whoever comes into the Jets are going to have a new quarterback next year. Maybe Elijah Moore is a little more relevant. And then again, I agree that Treylon Burks really good. The Titans' passing game is not very good, so that's an
Oh,
issue.
totally.
And then you have Sky Moore, who could be who's something. But anyway, let's go into his picks real quick because he has the only pick worth talking about right now is he's got the 102. And I know there's going to be a temptation for him to, and this is kind of the reason why I'm saying potentially sell a guy like Diggs or something, because there's a temptation right now at the 102 to snag Gibbs, right? Because you don't have any running backs, and I need a running back, so I'm going to take the second best running back, which is Jahmyr Gibbs. But probably the move is at the 102 is to take your favorite quarterback, which he also needs. So,
Yeah, but I mean, what are you going to sell Diggs for? What are people going to give you, right?
the 105, the 104.
Yeah, I saw the trade offer you sent, and it was dog water. That was not a good trade offer.
Dude, Diggs is
The
20.
104 for Diggs doesn't matter. I mean, the guy is guaranteed a top five finish. That's what you're buying. You are buying a top five wide receiver. I think that's worth two firsts.
No, not you. Two. No
I'm
one
not
is worth.
saying
No one is worth two firsts at 29. Like, I'm sorry.
I disagree. Wide receivers play until they're, almost mid 30s. It happens. Diggs doesn't look like he's having a fall off. He just plays bad in the cold, which has been a thing his whole career.
Yeah. Like I said, if we're talking about Zeke's roster.
Sure, Diggs' value is better if you just sit on him and let him retire than if you sell him. It's like what's his name, Travis Kelce. For the most part, no one's going to give you the bag for Travis Kelce because this could be his last year. He could have 3 more years. Who knows?
Right. I think the issue too with Diggs is different from a guy like Devontae Adams. Is Diggs isn't a big body receiver. He's a speed guy. He's a route running guy. And again, he's pushing age 30. I don't know. Let's take Diggs out of it. I think if I was Zeke, I would be looking to acquire one more first to make sure to lock up, because that way he could take Jahmyr Gibbs at the 102 or figure something out with the running back situation. But it's just right now I think he's in a almost no man's land with the 102 with his roster construction.
I mean, I think we all assume he's taking a quarterback. If he takes a quarterback and is lucky with his question mark running backs, all of a sudden he's a contender. I don't know. I just think the math of what his roster could be churning out points-wise, it won't win you a championship necessarily, but you're going to make the playoffs. Like, that's what I see.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably true, assuming, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see. I think he just has some. He doesn't have some work to do. He has legit work to do in the running back room. Jamal Williams is a decent start, but you have to. I think the move is you have to dip into that wide receiver pool to.
And that's literally what I said.
Address
I
that
said you
somehow.
ship two of those guys.
Yeah,
But I'm saying on the Diggs take, right? That is a guy where you will never get a trade offer that matches his value as far as what he will score your team points wise. He's a better hold, even if it takes you a year to rebuild. He's a better hold than sell low. That's what I think.
no, that's fair. That's fair. Let's go one more. Let's see if we can get this done a little quicker. Because
Well, let's depending on the name. Some of these names might not be hard to go through, but like if you draw you or me, we're not doing it. We got to save it for a whole episode. Who'd you get? You, right? Is it you on this one? No? Oh. Well, you keep doing the dude, and so I assume it's one of us.
Dude, we got Nowish.
I want... This is a good episode. We'll see you next week.
Come sit back down.
Nowish.
Dude.
Casey Sapardo, looking at your future, your quarterbacks are Jared Goff and Ryan Tannehill. Desmond Ridder is maybe worth mentioning. Sam Howell is not.
Yeah, Mariota exists.
I mean,
I don't know. Howell might be the quarterback in Washington next year.
Yeah, Sam Howell might actually be the QB. It's just... So his team isn't complete garbage. It just feels like he doesn't know what he's doing and then randomly picks which trades he's going to accept. It feels very inconsistent.
So this was interesting, and I wish Sam Wyatt was on to make this comparison, because remember last Saturday's episode, there was the discussion, the slander of my team about kind of decision making.
Yep.
So here's a comparison that I don't think will land with you, but will land with some of the listeners. My team was the Oakland Athletics last year. For those of you who don't know, the Oakland Athletics, the way they operate, they have a very low budget, and so what they do is they'll develop young players. They'll become they have their 6-year window in their prime, and then before it's time for a big contract, they sell them all and restart with young players. Now, a lot of people don't like how the Oakland Athletics operate, and they get annoyed. But they at least know what they're doing. Like, you might look at an individual trade and think that's bad, but you see what's going on, you see the formula, and it's historically worked. Nowish is the Colorado Rockies.
Is this a football podcast? All right, cool.
Well, again,
let's get this baseball crap on the road. Let's roll.
The Colorado Rockies are a team that baffles people. Do not understand what they're doing, and I'm at that.
Why don't you just say the Browns? The Browns.
You're exactly
they don't make any
right.
sense. They make bad decisions, and their trades are not good.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I just think it's more accurate to what we're talking about here. So anyway, we'll actually go through it. So the quarterbacks are Jared Goff and Ryan Tannehill, Sam Howell, Desmond Ridder, Marcus Mariota. It'll be interesting. There's a decent shot that the Lions take Anthony Richardson with that 7th pick and kind of phase out Jared Goff. But Jared Goff's a good quarterback. He's a former number 1 overall pick, and
he balled this year.
Yeah, he played really good.
He balled out. I mean, I don't know which direction the Lions go. I know that in season they were showing all confidence in Jared Goff, but that's what you do if you have a quarterback that looks like he's scared of his own shadow. Dude, Jared Goff looks like a guy that gets startled walking around corners. Like, he just does. I could see them running it with him, if anything, because they might be able to get a cheaper contract out of him than what they're on right now.
Yeah, I think this next year is the last year of his contract. And then it'll be a determination whether they move on or keep rolling with it.
Yeah,
Maybe they keep rolling with it.
I have no idea.
Yeah. But anyway, it's definitely Jared Goff is definitely not an elite dynasty quarterback.
No.
He is a good piece to have, and he played really well last year. But he is, yeah. Sam Howell might be the starter in Washington.
Yeah, he might be.
Not much to say there. Ryan Tannehill, similarly, he's a cut candidate, but the Titans just might not have any other options. So,
Yeah.
and I think most people assume that if he does get cut, he'll find work somewhere else. But he's in the waning part of his career. It's sunset's coming for
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill.
Well, and I could see that the Titans might need just like a whole revamp, right? They've been kind of leading a one-man army of being a run-first offense in the NFL where they don't pass the ball at all. I mean, they are just running, and it is clearly not working. And the Yeti is old. I could see a soft reset in Tennessee, but
Yeah, I mean they run that 1960 style offense, which I don't want to completely dog it. They like in 2021 they were the number one
They
seed
were.
in the AFC that had
yeah,
a bunch of elite quarterbacks. So I mean it's sort of this. It's like this system. The question with the system is, can it actually like win a championship? But
no.
yeah, and I would say the
We've
answer
watched
is also
it.
no.
We've watched it for a Derrick Henry career's amount of time, and the answer is no. It will not win you a Super
Yeah, and you
Bowl.
literally had the best running back to do it with too. You like.
Yeah,
Who in history is better than Derrick Henry at that kind of just pound the ball kind of deal? So,
maybe Marshawn. Marshawn had some pretty
yeah. I mean, Henry's just
good,
bigger,
but
though.
Henry's obviously I think better.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to
Sure,
challenge that.
sure. No, totally. I think
Um,
Ritter might be the quarterback in Atlanta. I don't think he's a good quarterback. I think he might just be the quarterback.
No, if Atlanta runs it with Ritter, it's because they're tanking so that they can draft whatever his
Right.
name next year.
No, 100%. I 100% agree. And then Mariota will be another backup if he doesn't retire.
Yeah.
So, anyway, quarterback room gets a C minus. No, it can't get a C minus. He does. They don't. He doesn't have any. It's a D.
No, I was gonna say the closest he has to a top 10 guy is Jared Goff, and he finished at 10. And I don't think anyone lists him as one of their top 10 predictions.
Yeah.
I would argue an F. This is a super flex league. You need 2 starting quarterbacks, not 4. What are we doing? Or 5.
Yeah, I mean,
5.
I think the only reason I'm above an F is like there's a chance he has 4 starting quarterbacks, which is worth something.
So I had a league where I had 4 starting quarterbacks. You don't just want quantity over quality. I had
Oh,
Jimmy
yeah.
Garoppolo. I had Mitch Trubisky. Who else was on there? Jalen Hurts and somebody else. And I couldn't win games with them. Like I ended up selling a lot of pieces to be in a rebuild because the point of Superflex isn't just to have 2 starting quarterbacks. You need 2 relevant starting quarterbacks.
Yeah. No, and I 100% agree, dude. Like, this is just the difference between a D and an F. Like,
I guess
an
I
F
would
is
not
good.
pass this.
Yeah.
Like you're coming out of a draft and you look at this and you're like, oh well, you probably have like 3 first-round picks this year because you don't have any QB value. Nope.
Yeah. No, it's a disaster. So anyway, we can move on to the running backs, which I think is
Better.
the best part, maybe. I mean, you got Dalvin Cook, who captain dislocated shoulder.
Yeah.
So he's a guy who just always misses
Yep.
games.
Well, running backs too. I mean,
And
running backs all miss games.
right, but he's guaranteed. Like he's a pencil him in for a couple.
He
of
didn't.
games
He
missed,
didn't
right?
really miss a game this year. I mean, they rested in Week 18 when they weren't making the playoffs, but he didn't miss time. I just looked.
Okay,
Just
no,
throwing that out there.
Good for Dalvin Cook. Good for Dalvin
But
Cook.
you're right. He's his season.
So we're now on. I think we moved Dalvin, and I don't think we touched on Dalvin Cook's also on the other side of 27 now.
He is.
So
He is the guy that I would use as an argument for why Jamal Williams was a good grab because their age isn't that different, their points per game is not that different, and good luck getting Dalvin Cook for anything less than a first and a second.
yeah, Dalvin Cook, interesting dude. Probably his best-ish piece right now. Um,
Yep. Maybe
but
Sutton if he's lucky. Oh no, Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith's his best
yeah,
piece.
and that's what I'm saying. In terms of best
Yeah.
like win now piece, Dalvin Cook might be the best piece he has, but Devontae Smith is definitely his best dynasty piece.
Yeah, that's
Um,
fair.
so anyway, uh, and again, like I don't know what his strategy is though, but like I think he should sell, and he should start with Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, I agree. For a first and a second. Like everyone
Yeah,
listening,
if you
go
can,
offer
if
him
you
a
can.
first and a second if you want Dalvin Cook, I guess. And he should accept that.
Yeah. We'll
He
see.
does.
If I was recommending what Nowish is supposed to do, is I would start accumulating 24 firsts. If you
I think if I was Nowish,
um,
I would recommend doing what Chance did and letting the league know that you were committed to being active, letting us know that you're going to respond to trade offers. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this roster. And I've tried to talk to him about it, and I have no idea.
yeah, it's ugly. Anyway, let's move to Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson, at best, is in a 3-man committee, which is a disaster.
I think he's on the free agent
And I
list.
don't even think he's the. Oh, is he free
Thought he
agent?
was.
No.
Maybe he's not.
I thought he had
He-
one more
he
year.
does. He's-
Because I thought he got drafted the same
Yeah,
year as
he's not a
Dobbins.
free agent. I was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, at best, I don't even think he's the best of the big. I would take Brian Robinson over Antonio Gibson, I think. And again, like, maybe Antonio Gibson goes and solves, because he's got some talent, and maybe he goes and solves his fumble problems. But tell you what, Ron Rivera does
No, he
not
doesn't
like
like him at
Antonio
all.
Gibson.
I like Antonio Gibson a lot
Yeah.
if he gets traded. I actually sent Nowish some really horrible trade offers the other day, but I sent him some trade offers for Gibson because I think if you can roster him and stash him to see if he gets moved, he's worth it.
Yeah, and that's fair, but definitely not. You're not stoked
Yeah.
on Antonio Gibson. Um, and then going down the list, you got Mark Ingram, who is a free agent. And
I don't know
his
why we're
career's
even
got-
talking about these guys.
Jeez Louise. And then Keontae, yeah,
No,
anyway,
they don't matter.
Those aren't pieces. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to his tight end room. That's what we did. Tyler Higbee is a mid-tier, nothing special tight end. He had a pretty decent. He finished as a PPR 6. But that was a result. Cooper Kupp, like literally, there was no one else to throw to in LA, and so he ended up having a really good finish. But I think that was a product of a lot of injuries around him. So definitely would put him like at tight end like 14 territory. And then you got guys like Noah Fant, Brevin Jordan, Jake Ferguson, and wow, that's a name. Chigizim Okanagu.
I'm not trying. It's just not going to happen.
Also, yeah. Anyway, is he any good? He's like 80% rostered. That's kind of wild. He's a rookie.
I believe he was a high-profile rookie coming out of last year.
Okay. So there's something.
And
Anyway.
Austin Hooper is just not special. The guy ahead of him.
Ugly tight end room. Maybe this Okanagan guy is Okonkwo. I guess it's probably Okonkwo, huh? Maybe
Yep.
Okonkwo something.
We'll go with it. He might turn in, but it doesn't matter. His tight end room, it is the least of his worries. Address that later.
Yeah. Now we can get into his wide receiver room, which
Has some
you
good
got
stuff.
Devontae Smith. You got Devontae Smith, who is a good piece. He's the wide receiver 2 in his offense, which concerns me. So if your wide receiver 1 is the wide receiver 2 in
Do you
its
know
own
what place
offense.
Devontae Smith finished?
He was the 9. He had a
Yeah.
great year.
So I
He had a
I
great
would
year.
say any arguments that you make for Jalen Waddle production, you have to make for Devontae Smith production.
I would similarly
Same with
have the same
condemning.
arguments.
Okay, same with condemning arguments,
Yeah,
right?
right.
I follow into the
And,
same.
and the thing with Waddle too,
Yeah.
which is a little bit different, is
Well,
Tyreek Hill is
old.
on the age older.
Yeah.
He's 29 or something like that.
AJ Brown is
Whereas,
not going anywhere, right? Like,
right,
so
right.
I,
Yeah, Waddle feels like an
yeah,
heir to the throne.
yeah. I get what you're saying. Whereas Smith feels like a two. I think that him and AJ
Right.
Brown. So I own AJ Brown in this league, and I love him. The hard part with both of those wide receivers, the reason Smith finished at 9, is it felt like, all right, AJ Brown just went off for 100 yards and a touchdown 2 weeks in a row. He's playing out of his mind, and now he's double covered. So then the next week, Devontae Smith goes off for 100 yards and a touchdown 2 weeks in a row. Like it was just back and forth. It felt like defenses would hyper target one and then the other.
Yeah, no, and again, I think Devontae Smith is absolutely a very good asset. Um, I tend to think 9 might be the peak. Not that he won't repeat it, but like I would probably say, and again, that's sort of the same with all the Eagles. Like how could you not have hit your ceiling this year when everything went perfect? Now, a lot of the ceilings were really good. Like Hurts finishing as the QB1 or whatever he finished as is that's obviously a ceiling. There's because
He
nothing else
finished
to
at
go.
4. I'm pretty sure he finished at 4. He was the one until he got
Right.
hurt, and then he missed 2 weeks, and everybody
Right,
passed
but
him.
like that's what I'm saying. It's like the QB,
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
There's nothing higher
I don't.
to go. There's nowhere else to go.
Yeah, I don't disagree that that team peaked out, and I had some pretty decent trade offers for Devontae Smith earlier in the season before he was really going crazy. And I agree with you. Like, I don't want the wide receiver 2 on the team. What if the Eagles fall off? What if Hurts breaks his leg and retires and goes on some weird spiritual journey and he never plays football again, right? Like, now I've got the wide receiver 2 on a team with a question mark at quarterback. That's horrible.
Yeah,
I never want to be in a spot where I have the wide receiver 2. Now, does it happen? Yeah, and if you're gonna, Devontae Smith's a great guy for it. But that might be the best wide receiver on his team. And
yeah. Well, and that's the other point. I don't think it's wrong to have the wide receiver 2 on a team. It just can't be your wide receiver 1.
all of his wide receivers feel like the wide receiver 2. I know
Yeah,
Sutton's listed as the one for Denver, but it feels like it's Jerry Jeudy. Chris
yeah,
Godwin is stuck behind Mike Evans. Like,
yeah,
Rondale Moore is stuck behind anyone in Arizona.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Amari Cooper's the one in Cleveland probably, and Amari Cooper
Yeah.
is a good asset. He's just getting old. Like
I've slept on Amari Cooper. He finished very well this year.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pro Amari Cooper. He's a good player.
Huh.
Again, if I I'm just not sure what to do with this roster. I think you just have to overhaul it.
Well, you sell Dalvin Cook and Antonio Gibson. If you can get anything for your pile of quarterbacks, I would ship them, right?
Right.
I would go find
Problem is he's traded for some of these guys. Like he traded away Kyler for Jared Goff.
he traded away Russ. I liked his QB room. I thought it was a highlight of his team. It was something to build around. I don't like Russ, but I don't think that Russ can have a worse year than he did last year. Like I just don't see it. Um,
Yeah.
like he had some
Yeah,
good pieces, and
Yeah, I think you have the ability to overhaul. Like it's not a total loss, but
yeah,
I think you just have to. And the problem is I don't think he's going to.
yeah.
I don't even know what he's gonna do. I could see him. In fact, I could see him trading his 2024 first before I see him actually rebuilding. If he even
I
still
mean,
has it. Hopefully
maybe he
has it.
takes
Yeah, he
his
still has
20.
it.
If I were him, right, take your 2024 first and maybe Rondale Moore, and you go find somebody with the 105, 106, and you offer it. You see if you can turn it into something. Rondale Moore is a guy who hasn't shown it yet, but there's a lot of hype around him. I think he was a late first or an early second round pick, if memory serves. Like, he's going to be the wide receiver 2 behind Marquise. I'm always injured Brown. Like, I don't know. He just needs to. I don't know what he does in his free time, but instead of doing that, he should just be sending out trade offers, working on trade negotiations. Like, no more, whatever he's doing when he's on the toilet. Use your toilet time to try and workshop some stuff, get something going.
Yeah, so right now his best 2023 pick is the 202, which
It's not a bad pick. 202 is not a bad pick,
yeah,
but it's
yeah, of
probably a
course
wide
not a
receiver
bad pick.
or a tight end.
Yeah, and a speculative one. Not terribly speculative, but once you get out of that, top. I mean, every draft is different, but for this draft, it kind of seems like 7 picks are really solid, and then you start to get into more speculation.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see with Nowish. I'm glad to have that team done. There's not much to say on it.
We got that one out of the way. We can do anything else. Hey,
Yeah. Anything else on his team?
I know you're not watching this nowish, but hey, maybe at least go decline your trade offers. Other than that, I think I'm not against drawing the name for next week, like just having it out and drawn. I thought that was a fun idea.
Hey, that's not a bad idea. Just to have it. So
yeah, I think we got kind of a rhythm of Wednesdays are a half hour, Saturdays are a little more open to the wind.
Yeah. So let's see. On Wednesday, we will be. That's perfect. It'll be me on Wednesday.
Oh man, I am
So,
excited
I don't
for
know if
that.
that's visible. Let's see.
Yeah, I can't see that. We'll see if it. Yeah. Yeah. It's you on Wednesday.
So we'll go over that.
Oh, man.
That'll be a treat. And then I guess we can draw for next Saturday. But okay.
No, we'll draw
fine.
Saturday
Cool.
on Wednesday.
So be ready for that, everybody.
Yeah, I like that.
Anyway, guys,
Oh
and
man,
I just want to say,
I think we might have to. Hey, we might have to push yours back to Saturday, man. I don't want a half-hour time constraint on this one. Like, I really.
I do want to say, thinking about it a little bit more. I guess I'm a little higher on Zeke's team than I guess I went into the episode with.
You just got to look at it as there have to be 6 teams better than his, and I don't know if there are. There's some real, like, somebody's got Tom Brady rostered right now.
I think it's a good team that
there's
has
some
Tom
bad.
Brady rostered.
Is it?
Luke.
He is not rostered.
Oh, he dropped him recently. But
yeah, he dropped him.
Luke's a good team.
I thought it was Carson. Dang it.
Again, the only thing with Zeke is that anytime you have a situation where one position group is just so tough, I have concerns. But the good news is he has a very elite other group in the wide receivers.
You pulled Diggs. His wide receiver's average age is like 24.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. He's got an A+ wide receiver room. It's just he has a D- running back room,
but we can both agree on. I think we should end on something we agree on. Now it's his team, his overall grade, F, tied for worst in the league.
Guys, I can't wait to see you on Wednesday.
Oh man, see you on Wednesday.
Peace.